Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, or the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risking their lives and freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalio, and this video is about the lineage and where the lineage comes from, which the answer, straight to the point, is by way of the father. There is a false doctrine out there in the world that has been perpetuated by the people that are in rulership, who are these so-called white people who are the biblical Edomites. They have spread lies and deception around the world about this idea of being mixed, right? But mixed doesn't exist. You're not mixed, right? In this world, they call mixed like if you have, let's say, a white mother and a black father, so-called, right? They'll call you mixed. And that's really even depends on what you come out looking as. So it's not just even what the parents are, but then it goes further to what do you look like, right? Because this world is, dominated by the ways of the flesh, not by way of the spirit, all right? It is the spirit that lets us know that you are what your father is, because it is an Israelite man, which starts as an Israelite spirit, right? That passes, that creates other Israelite children. All right, so that's the same for all of the nations of, the other nations as well. If they are of a Moabite father, then the child is a Moabite. If they are an Edomite father, the child is an Edomite. All right, but this world teaches, all kinds of false things. So people are under the impression, because, it's not just like what the parents look like, but what the person actually looks like as well. Because you can have, what they call quote unquote biracial person, but the mother, she's white, the dad is black, okay, and the child comes out looking like a Negro, you know what I'm saying? Like he can't pass as anything else. They just, call him black, right? But seeing as that his father is an Israelite, let's say that he is an Israelite man, right? A so-called black man, then he in fact is an Israelite. But if that black looking father, right, was actually from the lineage of something else, that black looking father who had that black looking son with that white looking woman, if his forefathers actually came from a different nation, then it doesn't matter what they're all looking like. They are of that nation. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be rooted in the understanding that it is, you are what your father is. And then the situation about it is this: none of us can trace back to the very beginning of our lineage, right? For us, it is, as the scriptures say, the spirit bears witness that we are the children of Yahweh Shemishai. So our spirit bears witness to it, all right? Which means that the Israelite spirit will show itself, okay? And the primary way for the Israelite spirit to show itself right now is by way of those who believe in Yahweh Shemishai, because this is not for the heathen. Only an Israelite can believe in Yahweh Shemishai. Only an Israelite can have faith, all right? So that is the primary way how you can identify an Israelite. The other way is, being in this truth, you meet people, you see people, all right? You can identify the Israelite spirit upon people, all right, by way of just literally their spirit and how they operate, you know what I'm saying? And that can be viewed as well in people who do not look like, have the look, you know what I'm saying? Instead, they come looking like the heathen. So you have these so-called white people, so-called Chinese people, so-called whatever other people, man, looking like those people, but their spirit shows forth that they're clearly an Israelite. All right, this is how Yahweh Shemishai has set it all up. Okay, so I hope that wasn't, too confusing for anyone listening. There may be new viewers as well, but you just have to understand this, that it is by way of the father's lineage that determines which nation you belong to. Okay? The mother does not matter. So it says in Numbers 1 and 18, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. And it says by the pedigrees after their families, by the house of their fathers, by the house of their fathers, because they count where your father is from. It's all about the man, right? To simply put it. And so when you go into the word pedigree here, it is the word yalad, which out the gate, it lets you know what it is, right? The Hebrew word yalad, it says to bear, bring forth, beget. Now, only men beget children, okay? So let's go to etymology on the word pedigree first. So pedigree, genealogy, genealogical table or chart, all right, from the 15th century, okay? So then it mentions of descent, and it mentions genealogical chart. So that's about the information we get there. But let's go to genealogy now. Genealogy from the 14th century, line of descent, pedigree. So it all goes into the same thing, descent, right? Then it says from the 12th century, tracing of a family, the making of a pedigree from generation, descent, to give birth, the root word gene, which is to give birth, beget. So men beget children. It starts with the men. All right. So, well, it starts and ends with the men. You know what I'm saying? Genealogical, pertaining to or the nature of genealogy, relating to or exhibiting the succession of offspring from a progenitor. All right. Under what progenitor will show. Actually, let's see. I think that's a more, maybe a, oh, okay. Progenitor, an ancestor in the direct line from the 14th century, ancestor, the founder of a family. Okay. And then once again, beget. See? To produce, beget. Give birth, beget. Right? Now, let's look at the word beget. All right. So beget, let's see what it's going to bring out. Ah, here we go. Beget. The sense of to procreate is from the 1200th century. All right. So back to this time, this is what they considered it. So that's why I read out that part, because it goes back. This is how it was considered at that time. All right. Which shows you more of the true original way of how things are interpreted, right? Because things have changed, drastically in some types of ways, regarding understanding, because the wicked came into rulership, who are these so-called white people, and they have spread all kinds of lies and deception. All right, but it says the sense of to procreate is from the 1200th century, generally used of the father only. All right, and it is of the father only. Men beget children. Let's type in beget into Google. All right, beget, especially of a man, bring a child into existence by the process of reproduction. So it's as simple as that, man. You are what your father is. All right. So your father is an Israelite, you're an Israelite. Your father's an Edomite, you're an Edomite. Okay. But once again, none of us can trace all the way back, and the whole DNA thing and the whole ancestral trace and all that kind of stuff that Esau puts out there, it's all deception. All right. It is by way of the spirit. And actually, let me get that. I think it's Romans. Is it 8? Yes. Romans chapter 8 and verse 15. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh Shemishai. And if children, then heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with Yahushai, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So it's the spirit that bears witness, man. All right. That's how we know. we simply believe the scriptures, we believe the doctrine. That's how, we know who we are. And so we just simply believe, we believe in Yahweh Shemishai. So we believe what's written in the Bible, and everything just falls into place after that. And, it's really as simple as that. But, there are some people out there that, they're like, they have this whole mamzer thing in mind. And, there's some people that believe that you have to have an Israelite father and an Israelite mother in order to be like an Israelite. I don't know where that doctrine came from, but that is false doctrine. The father only matters. All right. And then you have some people that are saying that, oh, well, if the mother's a heathen, then you're invalidated. That point is extremely stupid, to be quite frank, because we can look at this situation here with Ruth, right? Now, Ruth was a Moabite, right? And Boaz was an Israelite, and Boaz took Ruth as his wife, right? And then they had a child, okay? And that child, his name is Obed, right? So Boaz and Ruth had a child, and his name is Obed, right? Obed, the son of Boaz by Ruth and the grandfather of David. So Obed, his mother is heathen. His mother was Ruth. She was a Moabite. She was heathen. But his father, Boaz, is an Israelite. So Obed is an Israelite. And then Obed begat, and then notice it uses the word begat, which is the word beget, right? Obed begat Jesse, who then Jesse begat David, right? And these are all Israelite men. Despite the mother, Obed's mother being a heathen woman, it doesn't matter because his father's an Israelite, so the lineage continues. Okay? So any seed that Obed, no matter where he plants his seed, you know what I'm saying? They will all be Israelites. So then Jesse came about, he's an Israelite, and David, King David, I mean, y'all know what it is. And then Yahushai came from the lineage of David. You see what I'm saying? And Yahushua is an Israelite. So if people are out there talking about if you have a heathen mother, you're invalidated, then y'all are saying that David, Jesse, Obed, and Yahushua are all invalidated. That don't make no sense. All right? But that's really what it is. Okay? It is all about what your father is. All right? And it's as simple as that. And then the curses has scattered our people to the four corners of the earth, right? We're not in our land today. We're not in the kingdom of heaven. We're scattered. It's a part of the curses. So we're scattered any and which place around the earth. And what happens? Well, the Israelite man gets busy. There are tons of beautiful women out there. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if it's not about if the Israelite woman or nothing like that. They're beautiful women. All right? And we are allowed Israelite women, of course. And we're also allowed concubines, which are heathen women. So we take them and we pop them. It doesn't matter that they're heathen women because the child coming out as we're Israelite men, they're going to be Israelites. All right, so the mother really does not matter which way at all. We can build a nation without the Israelite woman. You see what I'm saying? And then I want to bring out this point as well in the book of Job, right? Because, there's a judgment for the nation of Edom, the Edomites, okay? Where when Yahushua returns, they're going into slavery. And then after the 1,000 years, they're going to be done away as a nation, right? But the scripture in the book of Job, it points out something very pointedly, right? So it says in Job chapter 18 and verse 16, his roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. He shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world. He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwelling. So you see, the scripture specifically says he shall neither have son nor nephew among his people. Why? Because the woman doesn't count. It don't matter. All right? Because the doing away of the males, right, is the end of the nation. You could have like these, white women around, but the nation will go extinct once there are no Edomite men. And this is talking about these so-called white people, right? Because they're going to be completely done away with, right? But that situation is that their entire nation is going to be done away with. But I'm talking, just like to show a point that once all of the Edomite men are gone, even if you had like Edomite women about, you know what I'm saying? The nation would die off because there are no more men to pass the seed. But the judgment is that in Obadiah 18, the entire nation of Edom is just going to be done away with. All right, but the scriptures show, he shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. They that come after him shall be astonished at his day, as they went before were affrighted. Surely such are the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not Yahweh Shemishai. The wicked who are the Edomites. All right, so Edomites are going to cease to exist. Yahweh Shemishai is going to get rid of all of the sons and nephews, all of the men, as it says, right? But it's going to be the entire nation, right? So, point is clear regarding it. And, you have a bunch of, regarding, so some people may be wondering, okay, well, I believe in Yahweh Shemishai, but, my mother, she looks heathen or whatever. Well, you don't even know really if she is heathen or not. She has a look, right? But you don't know. You could judge the spirit. You know what I'm saying? But if she's heathen, so what? So what if your mother's heathen? She's going to go into slavery. And there's nothing to be emotional about it. This is the way the Lord has set it up. Right? It don't matter, man. Okay? But I know that for some people that will be like emotional for them, but you have to get out of your emotions, man. Right? You're an Israelite. You believe sincerely in Yahweh Shemishai, right? Which means then you're an Israelite. Okay? And this could even be the situation for somebody who looks like a so-called white person, and their parents look so-called white, but they believe in Yahweh Shemishai. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's in a different kind of situation, man. The Lord has many different stories and situations, that are in the world, And it's actually quite beautiful to see, the different stories of it all, But yeah, man, with that, all praises. Oh, and once again, to make it clear, if that white looking person has, two parents, they come from like a white family and they can't see well, they believe in Yahweh Shemishai, which means that if they sincerely believe in Yahweh Shemishai, that means that their white looking father would actually be an Israelite, and their lineage somewhere along the lines, the Israelite man, their forefather, was popping some heathen woman, and eventually the children came out looking a certain type of way. That's, a common situation for some of us. All right. So with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai by Shema Kodesh. Shalom.